Is it better to run shell shock because I won't? Because I don't have revive? Let me just see what everyone else is using. Yeah, shell shock. Shell shock. That might be the move then.
That would be unfortunate if our internet got disconnected. Oh, but I can't remember where I'm at. Friend came over while I was in the middle of this.
What is he using? Stay in zone. What the fuck is it in here? I'll just keep shell shock, honestly. Check if there's any other consumable for armor. It's not allowed. Alright, just the usual stuff then. Wait a minute. It's no armor. Wow, I thought this was going to be easy. Never mind, it's no armor, no perks. Okay, no. No consumable 24 with consumable 27. Tell you. Because it just says no blitz. I thought it was no perks, but armor would have been on. I was gonna say it's even worth it to get box, but exit and spawn? Just do a no power room? Or...
Which Flamin' Hot will take the top spot?
Let's talk about that. Good mythical summer.
Ooh-wee, it's been a scorcher of a summer so far, hasn't it?
Good buddy.
One might even say a flaming hot summer.
One might say that, and that one is me. Why are we talking like that?
I don't know.
It's been a flaming hot summer, y'all.
There are more flaming hot snacks on the shelves than a pair of sweaty boys can count. How are we supposed to know which the best of the spicy bunch? I was about to say what's the best, but you know what I mean. It's time for Gut Check Flamin' Hot Edition.
The mythical crew got on their bird scooters and gathered up every flamin' hot branded snack Frito-Lay currently has to offer. That means we have 32 spicy dusted treats to burn our tongues off that we're gonna taste in rapid fashion. After we try each flavor, we'll give it a score of 1 to 100 based on our gut reactions.
The scores will give us the top 4, then we'll try those 4 one more time a little more carefully to officially decide which Flamin' Hot product will be named the Flamin' Hot Jackpot.
And, of course, I got a brand new scoring aid. This is a pretty cool one.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it looks amazing, but it's got this slider on it that, as it reads my mind.
This is so amazing. I kind of wish I was bad at scoring so I could get one of these things. I've never gotten anything. You get souvenirs, man.
It's gonna help me.
Okay, I'm concerned about a different kind of gut reaction you may have after today's episode,
Yeah, I
after
know.
eating all this
I
stuff.
hadn't thought about that.
But don't worry about your palate, because today your palate cleanser is good old-fashioned milk in a brand new mythical sip and slide tumbler. Look at how cool that thing is.
Very cool.
It'll cool off your mouth as well.
Mythical.com, you can buy it.
It's true.
Sip and slide. This is a very popular type of glass in my house. Everybody loves to drink out of these for some reason.
Yeah, it makes you drink more water throughout the day is what I've noticed, so it's nice. Okay, are you ready to begin? Your first, I didn't wait for you to
guess so.
answer, sorry.
I guess
Your first category of Flamin' Hot products is chips, and we begin with Doritos Flamin' Hot Nacho.
I love Doritos. I really like Flamin' Hot. This is a really great combination.
Yeah, it's working. Woo! It takes about that long for the heat to hit when you haven't had anything before.
88. That's real good.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, I'll give it a solid 75.
Doritos Flamin' Hot Limon.
Oh, gosh. I like them.
So it's flaming hot and lemon?
Limon.
Different thing?
Does that mean lime?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
um,
It's not a cool way to say lemon.
55.
They're not as good. Something about the limon takes it down, but it's still good to me, 68.
Doritos Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch.
Oh, I didn't even know about
What?
I like Cool Ranch. It doesn't mesh quite as well, but I'm still gonna give it an 82. That's a really good chip.
Wow, yeah, I like it better than the other one. I'm gonna give it a 78.
Ruffles Flamin' Hot.
Ruffles getting in on this game too? That looks.
Ridges. I don't think, personally, the super potato forward flavor of a Ruffles chip versus the corn flavor of a Doritos chip meshes as well with Flamin' Hot.
I totally agree, Rhett.
I'm going all the way to 42.
Wow. Well, I'll give it a 43.
Okay.
Ruffles Flamin' Hot Cheddar and Sour Cream.
Oh, but cheddar and sour cream is your favorite chip.
I didn't know these existed.
They're not as good as regular sour cream and cheddar.
But it's definitely better than the last thing I ate. 60.
58.
Ruffles
We're in
Flamin'
agreement
Hot
today.
Barbecue.
Flamin' Hot barbecue.
You get hit with the barbecue first.
The barbecue meshes well with the potato, which then lets the heat come in, and it's like you're eating some hot chili.
I don't hate it. 50.
This one is actually I'm gonna give it a solid 70.
Lay's Flamin' Hot.
They're all getting in on this. Where's the flaming hot? Where's the heat?
That's kind of weak, isn't it?
Weak sauce.
Weaker than the rough. 38.
13.
Lay's kettle cooked flamin' hot.
Put in the kettle, huh?
See, these are a lot better.
Oh, this reminds me of Crunchers. Remember Crunchers?
Yeah, that really crunchy chip before kettle chips existed.
That was
in the
really
80s.
hot. They had a jalapeno flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's really, really good.
They had that jalapeno.
76. I really like that. How did that happen? Something about that oil in that kettle made the potato work?
Woo! Yeah, now we're back in the heat zone. 71.
Lay's kettle cooked flamin' hot limon.
Hey, limon
Is not
lime.
a
This
lime.
means lime.
Yeah, it's not a limit.
Oh, I got a whole chip. You been eating a whole chip every time?
Yeah. Usually.
I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks, man. I feel like
That's the first one I've hit. The whole thing.
you've been biting them off.
I've been just biting off the tip.
I've been going all the way. That's why I was choking.
All right, I'm going deep for all the rest of them.
I don't like this one. 39.
It's not as good as the other one, but 53.
Sabritas extra flamin' hot.
Sup, Breaches?
It almost. You didn't say lemon because I taste a lot of lime.
Those are deceptively good, but not too hot.
It gets hotter, dude.
I really like a lot of these.
59.
Whoa, and it's really building in a good way.
Yeah, it really.
And it's getting better as it builds. 77.
I think this is the hardest thing I've had so far.
And that wraps up the regular old chip category.
How much of
Please
your milk have you had?
have a sip and slide, would you?
Just a little bit more.
Up next, we have the non-chip snacks category, starting with Cheetos Crunchy Flamin' Hot.
Well, is this the original?
It is the original, right, Stevie?
I think it is.
It's like the original Cheetos. I'm not confirmed if it's the original snack in which.
Flamin' Hot was
Yeah.
introduced.
I'll
right?
give it a nice 75.
It's very solid, but something about that's comparing it to the Doritos, it doesn't live up to them. I'm gonna give it a solid 69.
Cheetos Flamin' Hot Limon.
Here we go. Across the board, we're not loving the lemon as much. I mean, you're catching on to that.
That one is not nearly as overpowering as the previous one. I'm gonna give that a 63. It only brought it down a little bit.
I'm gonna give that one a 63. I'm gonna bring it down a little bit.
Cheetos Extra Flamin' Hot
Okay,
Crunchy.
here we go now.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. I like that, but I don't know how many I could eat. 74.
My stomach's kind of hurting,
Good.
but in a like, I can do this kind of a way. Ooh.
Yeah, I believe you can do it. Oh, so you just realized how hot it was, so you're moving it down.
Yeah. I'm at 49. We better move on before I keep bringing
We
her
moved
down.
them all the way to 49.
Baked Cheetos Crunchy Flamin' Hot.
Healthy hot. Just doesn't have that crunch, does it?
You need
It's like
the,
a
you need the
weird
oil.
staleness.
You need the oil. 35. You don't need to bake your Cheetos.
25. Baked Cheetos. Just,
Baked Cheetos Flamin' Hot Limon.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, here we go. We know it. We know how this system works. Like, who else in the world is developing a mind matrix?
34.
Where like when something
No,
gets baked and
24.
something gets limon added to it, they like know exactly how to respond. 28. You know, like 28. You know, I'm like a robot now.
Cheetos Flamin' Hot Popcorn.
They say what?
Popcorn.
Now I really appreciate this because I like popcorn.
When I get popcorn, I want cheese or I want butter. I don't really want hot.
I didn't know this world could be opened up to me. I really never really thought about it.
40.
Woo! I like it. 75.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to. I got a little drippy, a little nasal run.
Cheetos Puffs Flamin' Hot.
Cheetos puff.
Oh, that's a really good delivery mechanism for Flamin' Hot.
Yeah, I
I
like
could
that.
get lost in a bag of those.
I'll give that a 67, and I won't even. I will not take feedback.
I'm going to give it an 80. 80.
It's pretty cool
It's pretty cool, man.
in a hot way.
Yeah.
Cheetos Flamin' Hot Pepper Puffs.
Say,
Pepper puff. Oh, it's shaped like a pepper. Isn't that cute?
it's exactly what we just had. Tastes good, but not as good. 67.
47.
Cheetos Flavor Shots Flamin' Hot asteroids.
What? Oh, it's just turds, like rabbit turd?
Is this for dogs? I'm so confused.
Not only am I confused, I'm angry.
Oh, how angry?
To the tune of 19.
What don't you like about asteroids?
Well, asteroids seem cool, and then it just turned into like it's cereal pellets.
You don't believe in space. You're one of those.
I don't believe in space.
Yeah, Link doesn't believe in space. It's something we've been really arguing about a lot lately. I'll give it a 19 as well.
Chester's fries, flaming hot.
Oh, Chester's in on this. This is like a hot fry. Like Andy, what's his name?
Andy Cap.
Hot fry. This is the answer to hot fries. It's better than a cereal mold.
I don't like them getting in on hot fried territory, you know?
Why? Because you don't live in space?
Because, yeah, that and Andy Cap is kind of a classic. It's not bad, though.
So you don't like this one for infringement's sake?
Yeah, for infringement's sake, I'm going to give it a 51.
I like it 67.
Chester's puff corn, flaming hot.
Chester's like, if I'm gonna keep being the face of this thing, you got to put my name on stuff.
That's like corn, popcorn, and a Cheeto mixed together. I don't like it. 49.
24.
Funyuns, flaming hot.
Oh, huh?
Oh, look at that, it's a circle.
That's a crunch, man.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're doing it.
Oh, and you get the Funyun flavor?
Look at me having fun.
84.
76.
Fritos, flaming hot.
Oh, Fritos.
Make them into a pie.
Again,
Very corny.
the corn flavor and the heat, hand in glove situation.
Maybe I just don't like Fritos that much.
Well, that's a personal problem.
Oh,
Most people who don't believe in space also don't like Fritos. It's one of the things that I have discovered.
48. How's your tummy time?
It seems fine right now. I like those 72.
Doritos Dinamita, flamin' hot queso.
What? Queso?
What?
It's like a taquito. Actually, it's like a taki. They're trying to do the taki. This
Yep.
is infringement. Got infringement written all over it. I know you're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, they're coming for
But
Takis.
it really tastes good.
I mean,
it tastes excellent in my mind.
your lips are red. I've been taking care to keep my lips off of the flaming hot.
I've been really, really lipping it as much as I possibly could.
Oh, really? Oh gosh.
80. I like that a lot.
Woo!
It's real hot.
My eyelids are starting to sweat.
Take your glasses off.
61.
Smart Food, flamin' hot white cheddar popcorn.
All right. So it is cheese. Hot cheese.
That tasted really good. The white cheddar.
And it's smart. It makes you feel smart when you purchase it.
You said you like cheese on your popcorn,
Yeah.
so you got that now.
But I still don't like the heat. 50.
I like this better than the previous popcorn, which I did like a lot. I'm gonna give this a solid 73.
What's it?
And we're done.
What's it's flamin' hot?
What's it?
What is a what? It's like a tight cheese puff. That is the strangest tasting one so far. It actually doesn't taste like the flaming hot flavor. Weird.
It's a little strange. It's not as crunchy as I wanted it to be.
It's almost meaty tasting.
I wouldn't agree with that.
39.
I was gonna say 39.
We agree. It's meaty tasting.
Munchies Peanuts, flaming hot.
Oh, is that what's happening?
I like hot peanuts.
72.
Oh, I was in the 70s. I was all the way at 79.
And that concludes the non-chip snacks category. I would like to apologize. At one point I said flaming, and it is flamin'.
Oh yeah.
Apology accepted.
Infringement.
Thank you.
Infringement.
Our next category is meat.
Now
This is
are
gonna
getting
taste
to me.
meaty. Like,
First up, Matador flamin' hot snack sticks.
oh, is this gonna be a meat stick? Yes, it is. Oh yeah. I love processed meat.
So it's a Matador, but it's basically woo! It's hot and it's gross.
You don't like that?
No.
Do you like Slim Jims?
No.
All right, I'm going to give this one a 90.
See, you're compensating.
I really like it.
All right, well then I'm gonna have to. I mean, I don't like it. 20.
Matador Flamin' Hot Beef Jerky.
I like beef jerky.
I like the stick more than the jerky.
It's a little cheap.
This is some cheap jerky. He likes fancy jerky.
I mean, I'll give it a 33,
I actually,
and then I'll spit it out.
I actively don't like this one. 45. I like that beef stick though.
Baconettes Fried Pork Skins Flamin' Hot.
You know what I was thinking I wanted right now? Just a bunch of pork skins.
That's a really complimentary flavor. 71.
40.
And that concludes the meat category.
Is that it?
Nope. It's time for your favorite category, the miscellaneous category.
I bet that's the last category though.
And first up, we have Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot.
What?
That's the thing.
I've been drinking a bunch of milk. Now I'm gonna chase it with.
I feel like we've had this before. I don't know what I said about it that time.
Let me tell you. It's hot. I mean, it's so strong. It tastes exactly just like Mountain Dew,
With
but
hot.
then it's hot.
I
It's
respect
not
this.
a flaming hot flavor. It's just hot Mountain Dew.
I respect it. I know I've had a lot to say about Mountain Dew in the past. Probably specifically about this at some point. But in the context of eating all this savory stuff, something about the sweetness is really working for me right now. But I don't think I would choose it over just a regular drink. So I'm gonna say a solid 66.
I gotta say 48.
Cheetos Mac and Cheese Flamin' Hot.
Now, look at the brightness. The flaming hot is just baked into the noodle itself. It's like throughout the noodle.
I really like that.
Yeah, and the way that they did it,
And it's not too
shows some
hot.
commitment to craftsmanship here.
84?
Yeah, I mean, 80.
Hey, whoa!
It's just a fun thing that they've done.
It's really tasty.
It's cool looking too.
And for our last snack of the day, we actually have Little Debbie Nutty Buddy bars because they were missed in our last gut check, and they deserve a spot. And here they are.
Are they flaming hot? They're just regular.
Oh, that is a good. That's good. That brings back a lot of memories. I'm gonna give that a solid 76. Peanut butter is good. Chocolate's good. It's very airy.
If this was Little Debbie only, I would give this an 87. But because it's flaming hot, I'm gonna give it a 12.
Nope, don't do that. Give it its Little Debbie. That way we can undermine that entire other episode. I want to know exactly what do you give it?
I said 87, but I'm giving it a
Okay.
12. I don't want it to be in the top 4 of this one, because that would be ridiculous.
You
Got it.
have now tasted all of the Flamin' Hot products. Your
Is it more
scores
that
will
Nutty
now
Buddy? That's actually helps my stomach.
be tabulated so you may more closely review the top 4 items and determine which is the best of the best. According to you, the top 4 products in no particular
killed
order
him?
are Doritos Flamin' Hot Nacho, Doritos Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch,
Okay.
Funyuns Flamin' Hot, and Cheetos Mac and Cheese Flamin' Hot.
Okay.
No particular order.
Okay. So
Before you crown the best, do you want to know what you ranked as the worst? I bet you could guess.
Those little
asteroids.
turds.
Yeah.
The asteroid turds. Morgan says he loves these. Too late.
All right, Morgan, you can have those.
Okay.
Man,
There are no Cheetos in the final
Cheetos
4
didn't make
unless you count this, which we have here. I just love the vibrant, flagrant
it's flagrant.
color of it.
I love Doritos, like I said. These are both such solid choices. I thought I was a Cool Ranch guy in general, but I just want to figure out which one's better between these Doritos, because I think it's the nacho. But so lovely.
Look at that. They are not plain. You get hit with that nacho first.
The Cool Ranch interacting with the hot is pretty nice, though. And I'm really tasting them side by side.
The cool thing about Flamin' Hot is that it is a second experience with both of these.
I am a little bit torn here.
It's tough. Let's try this to see if
These are all so good.
there's a Funyun.
Still so solid.
Good gracious. Wow. I gotta take it. I gotta take a little sip and slide from my mythical tumbler.
Where'd you get that?
Mythical.com.
That's
Get
not
one of
true.
these.
That's not
You
true.
will not regret it.
That's not true. Somebody just gave it to you.
I've already eaten the
I gotta come in.
mac and cheese.
I've never been more unsure about things coming into a Final Four. All of these are so good. I have an opinion about.
I'm telling you, you get hit. You get Flamin' Hot.
I love the Funyuns, but I think both Doritos are better than the Funyuns when you have them side by side.
Agreed.
I think this is super solid, but I think that the corn. Whoa! But you're putting them up there, which means
I'm proposing that it's better than this. Yeah.
you're saying get rid of the mac and cheese.
It's a little too gimmicky. I mean, these are all so good.
Here's what I'll say. I think the main reason we were really enjoying this is because mac and cheese is just really good.
I think I know my answer, and it's so close. It could not be closer. And you got the bucket over there, so pull that thing out. Flamin' Hot jackpot.
All right, this is kind of going against my instinct here, Link, and I don't know if you're going to disagree with this, but I think there's just something about the complementary nature of Cool Ranch and hot at the same time.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to disagree. I totally agree, only by a little point. We have put the Flamin' Hot jackpot with the Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch Doritos.
That ranch and hot going together. They're the champion.
You!
Look, they completely got
Agree?
all over my hair.
Let us know in the comments. Thanks for subscribing and clicking that bell.
You know what time it is.
Hi, I'm Beth,
And I'm Matthew.
and we're exploring a lava tube cave on the road to Hana in Maui, Hawaii. And it's time to spin the wheel of mythicality.
Oh, I didn't see that when I was there.
yeah, I'm about to say. Click the top link to watch us rank the worst snacks of the month in Good Mythical Ball.
And to find out where the Mythical on the line, we got a new BFF for all your favorite beverages. Check out the Mythical Tumbler at mythical.com. "27 flavors of Lay's, but only one can be the best."
Let's talk about that. Good Mythical Morning.
We all know the Lay's slogan, bet you can't eat just one, but we're pretty sure there are a whole bunch of Lay's flavors we can eat just one of.
Speak for yourself.
We're gonna be tasting Lay's potato chip flavors, every single one under the sun, to find out what the best one really is.
Mythical Beasts, we cordially invite you to rip open all 27 bags of Lay's chips with us today in order to crown the true Chip King. It's time for Gut Check Lay's Chips Edition.
I'm always hungry for some chips, Stevie.
You know the drill. The Mythical Crew has acquired every available Lay's chip flavor for you to try in rapid succession today. After you try each flavor, you'll give it a score of 1 to 100 based on your gut reactions. Then you'll taste the top 4 to determine which Lay's chip flavor deserves the top title of All That and a Bag of Chips.
And these are just the American ones. There's
American.
We've had the international Lay's many different ways, but this is the first time we've eaten all of the Lay's that we can find.
Yeah.
Here. Seems like we
27.
should have already done this.
And in fact, I had that very thought and went and made sure that I wasn't.
We have to do that quite a bit. Have we
Yes.
done this before?
Well, there's a whole library. The search thing on YouTube works. If at any point your palates need a refresh, we have some Bubbly brand sparkling water ready for you in one of our mythical sip and slide slippers. And you might be asking, why is this not Topo Chico? Well, it's because Bubbly brand water is a PepsiCo product, and PepsiCo owns Frito-Lay, so we're keeping it incestuous up in here like we always do.
It's not as good as Topo Chico.
Keeping it incestuous.
Let's kick things off. Well, actually, no. Let's.
Have you ever watched a video and you just know in the back of your head that someone out there is watching it at the same time you are, and you can kind of feel their pain and tears, kind of like in Pacific Rim where you're sharing the neural load. Both of you are experiencing this disaster unfold in front of you, and you can kind of have this almost empath moment where you know there's someone crying behind the screen watching this too. Well, welcome to the everyday experience of being an Overwatch 2 fan. Every time there is a new announcement from the Overwatch development team, it's just bad news. It's getting visited by Krampus every few months when they make some kind of new details about what's going on with Overwatch. It's always just awful, disastrous news. And today's was by far their worst. They just completely announced that the last 4 years of hard work on their PvE component to Overwatch is just being scrapped. The entire progression system, all of that, just being flushed right down the shitter to join the gators in the sewers now, which is beyond shocking, because that's the entire purpose of Overwatch 2 existing, by the way. You might recall Overwatch 2 launched and there wasn't any of the story mode PvE components to it. They said that was coming in the future, and that's the entire reason why it's named Overwatch 2. Because right now the game is basically just Overwatch 1, but they had that big balance update. It was basically a big patch where they went from 6 to 5 for team comp. And of course changes to heroes and their kits, pretty significant changes in some cases, all of which I appreciated, but at the end of the day, it was just Overwatch again. The whole point of it having a 2 in its name and being marketed as a sequel is that there was this promise, this little pinky promise that the PvE and story mode, the hero mode, all that, it was coming. It was, you know, trademarked right around the corner, it's on its way. But unfortunately, just like the Season 2 Ultimate Muscle DVD I ordered from Amazon back in 2004, it's never showing up. Which begs the philosophical question that would have Socrates scratching at his noggin. What the fuck is Overwatch 2 then? Why is Overwatch 2? If the whole thing that was supposed to be the identity of this title, the PvE story mode, is no longer in it, then what makes Overwatch 2? We're getting real deep into the weeds here. We're about to start experiencing some fucking solipsism. But anyway, let me show you a segment from the announcement where they broke this hard-to-swallow pill to the community. It's fucking tragic.
And so we're left with another difficult choice. Do we continue to pour all that effort into PvE, hoping that we can land it at some point in the future? Or do we stick with this set of values that we've aligned on and focus on the live game and focus on serving all of you? With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. And we know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you, which is why we wanted to bring it up before we talked about the roadmap. And to be perfectly honest, it's been really difficult for many of us and a lot of folks on the team who've poured their heart and soul into that stuff.
This clip will live in infamy in the Overwatch community for quite some time, I imagine. This is going to be the boogeyman that haunts them for a long time. They shut down the copium of the PvEs right around the corner, guys, then everything's going to be great. The grass will be greener once the PvE and story mode's finally out. Just hang tight, buckle down, it's on its way. They just rip the band-aid off and say, nope, no reason to believe in magic. We're pulling all of the resources from it and focusing on the live game. Now, beyond the obvious of why this is horrible, it's important to note that Overwatch itself, Overwatch 2 itself, isn't the most cared for product right now. I wouldn't say it's neglected. There's a lot of members of the community that do complain about it being neglected from the team, but I disagree. It receives a balancing update, a patch at least once a month. So the frequency isn't terrible, but it doesn't have the same tender love and care you would expect from a title like this. And it has certainly been in a long-term drought when it comes to meaningful new content being added to it, like new heroes, maps, or things like that. That shit's all but extinct. That's not something that's been really frequent in the Overwatch ecosystem for a long time. And that's because they have been focusing so heavily on trying to deliver that PvE, story mode, talent tree experience. And now all of it's fucking worthless. It's all for nothing. All of the years they spent doing that instead of focusing on making Overwatch, the multiplayer, better, has just been nothing to show for it. It's all been in vain. So it's just a real cherry on top of the shit cake. And understandably, a lot of people are disappointed here. There were a lot of people that probably got Overwatch 2 because they just wanted the PvE and story mode and the multiplayer was just a little bonus for them. And now that's not even coming, so what the fuck did they even bother with the title for? I've never quite seen something to this scale executed this poorly, where they market something that's, hey, PvE story mode, this is what makes Overwatch 2 a real sequel, not just a balance update we're doing to Overwatch. It's this real shiny new toy that you're all gonna love to play with. It's this PvE story mode. They've shown footage of it, they've made a lot of announcements about it, they've really pushed the idea that this is going to be worthy of being called a sequel to Overwatch because the PvE and story mode's doing so much heavy lifting and so much is going into it. It's real deep, it's real fun. Now, GameSpot did conduct an interview where they asked questions to try and get a little more clarity for the community. The big talking point is the direction that you're now taking with PvE, that you basically aren't doing it. Is that the correct way to characterize it? It's not happening anymore and you pivoted away from it. And Aaron Keller responds, I think I would characterize it slightly differently, which is we are doing a part of what the team had set out to do, but not the entirety of what was discussed back at BlizzCon 2019. So the real focus is on the story missions and that experience as opposed to the more open-ended hero mode and that stuff. Right, so it's fair to say that the experience that you showed during the first Overwatch 2 reveal is not going to be the one that will be released at any point. Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely not doing the hero mode and the talents and that power progression system. So you're basically doing absolutely fucking nothing of what was advertised over the course of the last 4 years. It's the most watered down bare bones version of a PvE component that they could tack on, at least from everything I'm seeing here. It looks like they're going to try and do like these small little story missions for some heroes where there is PvE to it, but it doesn't have the progression system, it doesn't have a talent tree. So it really just feels like you're almost just doing a custom game that Blizzard themselves is giving a stamp of approval to. Like, you're just playing some fanfic that Blizzard's given the thumbs up for. This just isn't at all what anyone was expecting for Overwatch 2. This isn't what anyone was buying into for the hype of Overwatch 2. A story mission that they put out once every 6 months, maybe, that tells the story of Widowmaker, the time she ate a sandwich at a Starbucks and then had to fight 5 droids on the way out. Like, that's not interesting, and that's not worthy of this being called a sequel anymore. There was no reason for Overwatch 1 to have died. This next part's really interesting and a bit odd. There's a lot of honesty from Aaron here, so he mentioned something that I briefly touched on about how the actual PvP game felt neglected by most of the community. He says, we had a really large portion of our team working on the PvE side of the game, and I think players of our live running game could feel that because we eventually stopped making content for it. It's been maybe 2.5 years since the last hero that we launched, and we don't want to be back at that point where it's another 3.5 years since launching a PvP map. So he admits that they recognize the game quality was suffering in the PvP side of things because of all of the focus on PvE. He then goes on to say that they shifted strategy last year, and after shifting strategy, they focused entirely on the live game and pumped out Overwatch 2. Which I think is a little stinky because Overwatch 2 did not feel like this crazy big shift in priorities from the team. This felt like something that one of their departments could have been working on while they were still working on PvE. Again, Overwatch 2 as it launched was just a big patch for Overwatch. And really, like, when you break it down to its bare bones here, if you really take its pants off, it was only a couple big changes, the biggest of course being reducing teams from 6 to 5. But that's not exactly something that takes a ton of resources to change, I don't think. Of course, I'm not a fucking developer, I can be very naive on how hard it is to take one number away from 6. Subtracting may be very difficult in the code of the game, but that was by far the biggest thing about Overwatch 2. Of course, they did have a couple new heroes that I'm sure they were working on for quite some time, but overall, it still wouldn't be enough to justify calling it a sequel. The sequel was still hinging entirely on the fact that it had this big new mode coming to it, and now it doesn't. But Aaron does go on to say that they are still planning on making story arc content, which is just the very, very stripped down version of what they had envisioned initially, which is the PvE component. So there's going to be story arcs. They said they're planning one for Season 6. There's no telling exactly what kind of cadence they're going to have with the release schedule of these story arcs. It could be pretty frequent, but I doubt it. I don't have faith in the team to make those kind of frequent updates with this PvE stuff. This feels like something they'll do like maybe once a season at best, and even still, that's lackluster content because it's nothing new. They're adding a bit of a story to it, but with no talent tree, no progression system, nothing like that. It feels like just a pure afterthought and something they're doing out of an obligation because of how they marketed Overwatch 2. Hats off to GameSpot for not being afraid to actually ask some decent questions here. So this next section, he's basically saying exactly what I did. So he's talking about how there's going to be a lot of frustration because they're basically giving a game, or they're not giving the game that they had advertised. You know, he says, we're in a situation now where this game is what it's always been. It's evolved in some ways, but a sequel was released, and that sequel's justification hinged on the PvE. Why did that happen? And without just reading verbatim the response here, you can absolutely go read the entire GameSpot article if you want more insight. I'm just going to try and sum it up the best I can. His response is basically saying, like, yes, the PvE won't be as we said it would, but we feel the game is very different from Overwatch 1 for a variety of reasons, and they keep patting themselves on the back for their roadmap, saying that this is the biggest thing they've ever done. Like, this kind of update for Season 6 is the largest in Overwatch history, and their roadmap illustrates their goal, like their mission, to make this feel like a real sequel that's different from Overwatch 1. But it's really not that impressive. Like, they're not doing anything here that other games aren't doing more of and better. Like, this roadmap is fine, I guess, but not as, like, justification for calling this a sequel when you stripped away what was supposed to be the main component of it. These aren't, like, incredible jaw-dropping updates, like innovations to the game or the formula. Adding a new map or 2 new maps isn't exactly going to have people charging into the streets, pumping their fists, celebrating, ooh-rah, twirling their shirt over their head or anything. And adding one new hero, like, once a fucking year isn't that impressive either. But, like I mentioned, the game doesn't have this kind of tender love and care, so I guess drip-feeding any kind of content and attention to it is good. It's a step in the right direction. But it's coming on the back of stripping away the main component of the sequel, like the whole identity of it being a sequel. So it's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to me like this justifies it being called Overwatch 2 anymore. And one other thing I find a bit laughable, even delusional, or maybe I am the one that's on stupid pills, but they really seem to put a lot of stock in the quality of their limited time events, or like their event modes. Like, they really seem to put a lot of faith in how much players are going to love their events, and they're fine. Like, I've played their events before. I've played a lot of Overwatch. The events are fine, but it's not like what would keep me coming back to the game just because you have like a goofy, silly event mode going on at the time. But they seem to really think that that's a huge accomplishment, that they have basically a fucking custom game that they'll pump up in a playlist every now and then. To me, it just feels very underwhelming and falls flat because, again, you have this sequel that was supposed to have a huge story mode PvE to it that's not there anymore, and now scrambling to try and justify why it's even still called Overwatch 2. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's extremely disappointing to see this. I was looking forward to trying it out. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I was optimistic that it would at least be high quality and fun, and now it's just never coming out, at least not in the way that it was supposed to. Now it's just going to be watered down PvE stuff into Overwatch, so that's not very hype. But yeah, anyway, that's really about it. See ya. You heard the recent controversy of true crimes investigator Kent Wax. That absolutely sounds like some kind of D's Nuts or Ligma situation. Here's a real thing. TikTok investigator faces fallout after claiming to crack a serial killer case. The TikTok investigator got it wrong? How? If we can't trust the TikTok investigators, who can we trust? Do some blessed. Look at that. Oh, Jesus. Like many true crime sensations, his series garnered a lot of support and millions of views, but many viewers started to get suspicious when in late April, Wax posted videos claiming that a private investigator had showed up to his house and recruited him into a team looking into the Smiley Face Killers. Smiley Face Killer case is a true crime theory alleging one or more killers murdered and dumped dozens of men into rivers. The investigation on this case was spearheaded by former New York Police Department detective Kevin Gannon. Smiley Face Killers docuseries was released on Oxygen, which is owned by NBC. Yeah, and I'm sure they went to this fucking random TikTok dude who has no experience as an investigator, I imagine, and said, "We need you on the squad, chief. Your videos are fire."
Calling the police. Make sure that I wasn't getting spoke for 2.5 hours. For years? There's a couple of days to speak with me about the stuff that I have.
No, they aren't.
To them, so
No, it's not.
there's a lot that I know that I have never been able to post on here.
No, you
I
don't.
Post on here because I'm apparently now part of the team.
Oh, what the f- That's so lame. Oh my god. That's so lame. He actually pulled out a little business card like it was a Smash Brothers invitation for the DLC characters. Oh my god, that's so fucking cringe. Oh.
It's interesting to have confirmation that this is what I thought it was, especially in Chicago and Austin and Pittsburgh and all the places that we're together, but I've heard a lot of their stuff with
Good.
source gathering, collection stuff, so
Of course.
I will continue to post. I will also be upping the security of my apartment immensely. I would not have this in my bingo card for Sunday night, so thank you to everyone who checked on me, to everyone who reached out to me, to everyone who's emailed me, to everyone who's messaged me, giving me information. I might not be able to respond to everything, but trust me, I see it, and trust me, it is so useful because I have information that they do not have, and all of this has been helped so much.
I have no doubt about that. Story just started to get so big I had to pause. Lynch and others online then began expressing public skepticism toward Wax after they noticed he mentioned Foresight, a social calendar startup where he worked as chief marketing officer, in 2 videos about his amateur detective pursuits. Critics called his motivations into question, sparking a debate on the creator's ethics. This all seems like a marketing play for his app. Enthusiasts online have argued that true crime content can draw attention into unreported cases and help investigators. However, critics of so-called TikTok sleuthing have grown weary of the genre because they argue creators may inhibit investigations, exacerbate families' pain, and capitalize on other people's traumas. Yep. Completely agree. Wax told NBC News in an email statement that he started his series because he wanted to raise awareness about a potential public safety issue in Chicago. He said he was approached on 2 occasions by an individual trying to lure him into a car while he was walking home from a bar. NBC News reviewed the police report Wax filed regarding the incidents. Quickly learned that this was happening to many others in the Chicago area and beyond. Began diligently collecting information and sharing it online as well as with law enforcement, private investigators, and other authorities in an attempt to bring awareness to these crimes. Maybe he is a hero after all. NBC News reviewed emails sent by a spokesperson for Wax that appear to show communication between him, private detective Jordan, and Gannon discussing his research, and Scherer, owner of RA Private Investigation and Security, confirmed in a phone interview that he connected with Wax to see if his research could be useful. He clarified his team was not working in partnership with Wax, who was an unlicensed citizen. Okay, I mean, that sounds believable. That the team was like, okay, do you have anything at all that could be useful? That would make sense. I can't believe he lied about being part of the team, though. It's so weird. Him and his team are offering us research and data points that may provide assistance that may be helpful in our investigations to these ongoing suspicious deaths. After seeing a now-deleted post from the CEO of Foresight, viewers began to wonder if Wax series was just a marketing ploy to direct traffic to the startup. The post praised Wax organic integration of Foresight into his recent viral content, which included videos about his investigation. Saturday, Foresight spokesperson said Wax and Foresight have made the amicable decision to part ways. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. These are resubs Zombina, Sarah, and Chocolate. You really don't have to. What was their name? It was the Norwegian something for Gary. Almost like a TikToker isn't qualified for that position. Who would have thought? Tozy made a whole video on King Wax. Oh, really? I didn't see that one. Where do news articles even find these tweets? This has 19 likes. Where do they even, like, come across these? This is like those psychology TikTokers diagnosing people because they blink 20 times per second or some dumb shit. I don't know what you're referring to with that, but that sounds fucking hype. Nice. Norwegian Cruise Line Contest. Gary Horowitz. Okay. Here's the Blitz list. I hope he gets that cruise. He's got my vote. Like a barbecue chip kind of person. I mean, I do like barbecue chips, yeah. True. Is Shadow of Doubt out? I didn't think it was out yet. It is out? Okay, maybe I'll give it a try. Thanks for you said Mitch. But there's just some stuff I want to go over. Obviously the biggest one that broke today, I think, is this. I'm sure a lot of you saw this on Twitter. So I didn't even know Logan Paul had a pig, but he bought this pig, I guess, over a year ago. And then today, a shelter found that pig, saying that it was lucky to be alive. So the place has an account on Instagram and TikTok, I believe, called the Gentle Barn. And it looks like they rescue animals that have been neglected or something. I'm actually not entirely sure. Why don't I just look it up now? I went through their page, but I'm not entirely sure, besides just being like a really cute, wholesome company. I don't know if they like actively go out and rescue animals, or if they just happen to stumble upon this one. So it's an animal sanctuary that looks to provide a sanctuary for abused animals who would not otherwise be able to find homes. Okay, so then this is their mission. They seem like a really great org, and they happen to find Logan Paul's pig. And this is what they said. She'll never be alone again. Pearl was found abandoned in the field next to another pig who had died. She came to us with tattered ears and a potentially life-threatening infection in her uterus that has since been healed. She's clearly been through so much trauma that we can't begin to imagine, but she's now safe with us at the Gentle Barn. From what we've been told, it's believed she was purchased originally from a breeder by an influencer. People often buy mini pigs or teacup pigs for clout online, believing they will stay small. When they inevitably grow very large and have many unexpected needs, they're sadly discarded. While we don't know everything she's been through in her past, we know her life is now filled with friends, nutritious food, and the highest quality care and so much love. Thanks to your support that we're able to say yes to rescues like Pearl. Thank you for being part of our work to rescue and rehabilitate animals with nowhere else to go. So I'd only seen their TikTok. I didn't actually see this whole statement. It seems like a genuinely just great org, and they found Logan Paul's pig on the verge of death next to another dead pig. Which is really fucked up. Logan, I don't think, has said anything yet. It's unclear if it's like Logan himself who like kicked the pig to the curb, or if Logan, in like his never-ending travels, just left the pig alone, and that's how this happened. Either way, it's a severe case of negligence here, if not something much worse. I would assume with Logan's level of wealth, he hires people to like babysit his pets. I'm assuming he has more than just this pig. So maybe they fucked up, but Logan would still be at fault for that too. Like, you can't just perpetually abandon your pets. Type of guy to own tigers and shit? Well, probably, yeah. Do you think this is true? Well, it is true. The pig was abandoned, was close to death, and is now at the Gentle Barn. It's the same pig.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are going to be talking about Kai Cenat, Aiden Ross, and the Kick streaming platform, because there's been a lot of kind of stuff that's happened over the last, I don't know, 24 or so hours that has kind of spun into this completely different situation. There's just a couple of things in general we're going to be talking about here, but there's currently a little bit of a drama going on, I guess, between Kai Cenat and Aiden Ross after Aiden Ross quote-unquote leaked an offer that Kick supposedly made to Kai Cenat and Speed. For those of you who don't really pay attention to Kick and whatnot, or realistically the streaming world in general, Aiden Ross has moved to Kick, which is a newer platform that is basically trying to compete with like YouTube and Twitch by having, I would say, laxer rules. They make it easier for people to get partnered / monetized. Basically, it's supposed to be like the creator-friendly alternative to the major platforms for streaming. Now, Kai Cenat is now back on Twitch after being recently banned, and iShowSpeed is on YouTube. But for both Kai Cenat and iShowSpeed, a pretty massive announcement was made yesterday as it came out that the two would be joining together for a live stream show exclusive to Rumble, which is like a YouTube competitor. That's a pretty major announcement because these are two of the biggest creators in the world that have now basically joined onto the Rumble platform for exclusive content on the platform, which means that, you know, if people who are fans of Kai Cenat and iShowSpeed want to see this, they're going to need to go to Rumble to watch it. And Rumble has actually been, I feel like, a good job, at least, in acquiring talent and getting people on the platform. I think it's a pretty decent alternative. I mean, it's better than a lot of the other compared platforms, but Kai Cenat and iShowSpeed are obviously in a exclusive contract for this whole thing with Rumble, and obviously everyone started reacting to this because it's a pretty massive announcement, right? And Aiden Ross was one of the people who reacted to it, and on stream he ended up basically making a passing comment about how Kick supposedly offered both iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat $40 million each to basically join the platform exclusively. Obviously, we know that when it comes to the biggest creators online now, contracts really do come like this. You know, there really are people who are streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, whatever it may be, and making millions of dollars, not even from like donations or subs or merchandise or whatever else, right? But from contracts that they have with the platform itself. So Aiden Ross ended up basically going on stream and saying this.
I'm curious, you know, what Rumble's going and shit. You know, I'm not the one to hate and bring shit down, so I'm not gonna sit here and say fuck Rumble, fuck that shit. I'm hurt. I wanted Kai and Speed on Kick, I'm gonna be honest. We originally offered, I think, Kai and Speed 40 million. I think Kai was 40 million and Speed was 40 million. They said no, but I don't know what Rumble offered. I don't know what Rumble offered. But I don't know, maybe it's more than that. But so that just goes to show you, bro, motherfuckers are fucking, it's NBA money, bro. NBA fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So
now that was a little bit of a passing comment, you know, he just kind of said it in the heat of the moment or whatever is what a lot of people have said. But this actually ended up drawing a little bit of a reaction from Kai Cenat due to this whole thing, right? Where he was pretty upset, I would say, by Aiden Ross saying this. So
I don't like. This is the only thing I don't like, bro. One, on my soul, that's cap. Two, even if that was an offer, why even talk about it? Like, I never. Like, that's the only thing. I'll call him out. I'll call him off stream. I'll call him off stream. Because, bro, that, like, for real, like, why even, like, that's weird, bro. That's not good. It's just like, bro, like, what?
Kai Cenat is more or less referring to what Aiden Ross said in that last clip. From my knowledge so far, iShowSpeed, as of me recording this, has yet to respond. But this is another, I guess, moment where Aiden Ross is getting criticized by the internet for his behavior, which has been happening a pretty good amount recently. And funny enough, iShowSpeed is actually part of one of the recent controversies that Aiden was involved in. Seems like Aiden's been kind of bugging out a little bit recently. Like, I know here in the last couple weeks, there was a big copyright dispute issue with him where he was falsely copyright claiming videos with a company that used his content, you know, in fair use, just going around striking people's videos. And then now this entire thing. Obviously, this isn't a huge deal, but I mean, given the circumstances of what's going on, it's kind of a pretty shitty thing to do, and that's why I wanted to make a video about this. So there's, you know, obviously two sides to this, right? Now on one side, you have people like, you know, this wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know why Kai Cenat is so mad. Like, Aiden Ross didn't really say anything that would jeopardize the deal. He didn't really ruin anything. He was just kind of like throwing a number out or whatever. But on the other hand, you have people obviously sticking up for Kai Cenat in this entire situation, and iShowSpeed, because I mean, ultimately, right, like the way that I see it, and I'm on this side, is why, even if like this is real, because Kai Cenat claims it's not even real, he said it was complete bullshit, but if Kai Cenat is like not telling the truth, and this is actually, I guess, something that really happened, you know, Kick did offer him $40 million to come to the platform exclusively, right? Why would you go and tell the world that? Like, why does that need to be known publicly? You know what I mean? And it wasn't like he said it like in the background, like with some other creators where no one could hear him or something. Like, he said this in front of thousands of people on stream. Like, he at this point is just announcing to the world, like, oh hey, you know, this is how much money these guys' contracts could be worth. Like, it's not something that everyone needs to know. I understand, right? Like, when shit like this happens and the contract details or whatever come out, like athletes and whatnot, but people get excited and people want to know the numbers and whatnot and really kind of understand just how much money these dudes are making. But the truth of the matter is, that's really not the world's business. Like, that's not something you just go and announce to the world, man. Now, obviously, one of the things that people have been saying in this whole thing is like, how the fuck would Aiden Ross know what amount of money, I guess, people were getting offered? Because if you don't really understand how these deals work, man, most of the time, there's some legal process damn near, right? Like, for instance, when I was negotiating with several different platforms in the past for different things, right? Like, a lot of the time, when, especially even before you really get into talking about whatever the issue it might be, right? Like, you're negotiating your price. Most of the time before that, you have to sign what's called a non-disclosure agreement, which is essentially like a legal contract stating that, like, you won't go share the specifics of your contract in like your work/deal with outside parties. So essentially, like, if you go tell everybody, like, hey, Kick's paying me $40 million to stream on their platform or some shit like that, right? Or you like share secrets in their negotiation tactics or something, right? Like, you can be sued. So if this were to be like a real offer and, you know, Kick did offer $40 million here, Aiden Ross low-key could have just got these dudes in fucking trouble because he's out here, you know, discussing the specifics of their contract to the world, and, you know, to the company, they're like, how the fuck did Aiden Ross figure this out? Because from my knowledge, it's not like Aiden Ross is running the entire company or platform or whatever, right? And then if this all is fake, right, then that just makes Aiden Ross look even worse, because it's like, bro, why are you coming up with fake fucking numbers, literally just lying to the public about people's contract offers? Like, that's just fucking goofy if that's the case. Now, Kai Cenat says this is all bullshit, like he didn't actually get offered $40 million. So either A, he's saying that to try and protect himself from the consequences that could be, or B, he's telling the truth and Aiden Ross is lying in this entire thing. Or I guess maybe, I don't know, like the head honcho at Kick was like fucking telling Aiden Ross what they were gonna offer him. I have no idea, but like if that's the case, that makes Kick look bad, because it's like, why are you telling other creators on the platform what you're about to be offering, you know, people you're trying to get onto the platform? Like, that is not, it's not a good look regardless. Like, for whoever, this isn't a good look. And this is the type of shit that like hurts people in the business world and like hurts their opportunities. Like, that could really fuck people's money up, man. Like, if you're out there building the reputation that they're out here like telling these types of things, violating NDAs, that can make companies not want to work with people and shit. So obviously Kai Cenat was a little frustrated about this entire thing, and like I said, some people I feel like weren't very understanding of why he was mad. You know, oh, it's not that big of a deal, Aiden was just saying. It's like, that's not something you just say. I don't care, man. I don't know. I guess I'm different, I don't know, than some people, but for me, it's like, even if like, let's say Kai Cenat and Aiden Ross got on a call or something, and he was like, hey man, Kick just offered me $40 million, right? If I'm Aiden, I'm not going and telling people that anyway, because like, that's my friend and he told me that shit in confidence. Like, I don't know, like how I am, man. If you tell me some shit in confidence, you come to me and you tell me some information in confidence, like, I'm not gonna go announce announce that to the entire world unless like it's like necessary. I mean, you tell me like, hey, I ate 3 people and killed them. Like, I'm telling fucking everybody, but like you come to me like, hey man, I got this really good opportunity on the line. I've been doing real good. You know, I got a contract offer. It's really nice. I don't know if I'm going to accept it or decline, whatever it may be. Like, I'm not going to just be telling everybody your business. Like, that's just how people should be. I mean, people got to learn how to stay in their own fucking lane a little bit, you know? And like I said, I get that it's interesting and like we all like to, you know, gawk over the fucking numbers that people can generate doing stuff like this, which, you know, most people think is just like not a job or whatever. But ultimately, man, just telling everybody shit that shouldn't be told is just not cool. So ultimately though, like this whole deal that Kai Cenat and IShowSpeed got, that really kind of started this entire conversation, that really started all this deal with Rumble, right? We don't really know the specifics of it. That's what this is really all about, because they're, oh, well, kickoff for 40 million. Like, I feel like people don't really get though that like just because that's supposedly what Kick offered, who knows if that's real or not, supposedly that's what they offered, like that doesn't mean inherently that Rumble offered more money either. Like, I feel like one thing a lot of people forget about shit like this is when you're negotiating these types of deals, man, like it's not just about like, oh, this platform is cool. Like, you're basically negotiating the operation of your business. Like, you got to find, in this instance, the platform that works the best for your audience, that works the best with the type of content that you make, you know, how much creative control that you want. That's huge. Like, for me, I'm not signing a deal where I can't make my own content. I'm not signing a contract where I can't be like Optimus, you feel me? So, and that's one thing that from reading about this that they seemed to have like really favored about Rumble, is that Rumble was going to give them the full creative control over everything that they wanted. Apparently, Kai Cenat tried to negotiate with Twitch and get IShowSpeed unbanned from the platform. They were willing to do basically nothing, and well, that's just why Twitch didn't get the deal. It's just like, I don't know, people don't realize how little situations, quote unquote little situations like this can really turn into big deals and shit like that. And for Adin Ross, man, it just seems like recently especially, he just has been doing a lot of shit that's gotten on people's nerves, and like not even just the fans or whatever, but like other creators and shit too. And for me, like just from the outside looking in, if I had to pick between 2 platforms to go to, I'm definitely picking Rumble over Kick. It's just a more established company, it's a more established platform, it just makes more sense for most creators, I feel like. But ultimately, man, like I feel like we'll never really know the truth, like about this whole deal, right? We're never gonna know if, you know, Kai Cenat actually got offered this much money. We're never gonna know if Adin Ross is telling the truth or lying. It's just one of those things where it's like a he said, she said, whatever it may be, right? But I just wanted to talk about it real quick because obviously the implications of deals like this and everything in the creator sphere are pretty crazy. So with that being said though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubTheOptimist. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about the Kai Cenat contract issue and signing out.
I feel like I need to preface this video by letting you all know I've never played a game of Overwatch in my life. Not because I think I'm too good for it or because the game is bad, it's actually the opposite. I think I would like Overwatch a lot, which is the problem. I don't want to get addicted to another game where I'm rolling the dice for good teammates in hopes of hitting an arbitrary rank to justify all the time I spent playing the game. I already did that with Valorant. However, even someone like me who's not that interested in Overwatch is wildly interested in all the drama surrounding it after a huge announcement was dropped by the Overwatch team today, and everyone's upset about it. And if you guys don't even play Overwatch yourselves, I think you'll find it interesting. It all started with this tweet, which seems so innocent. It says, game director and executive producer took a peek into the future of Overwatch. Eyes emoji. Watch this segment for the latest on PvE and everything else we have planned. Star emoji. That's good. It seems like a fine thing. Oh, it's just a plan for the year. And then Overwatch legend and fantasy football god Super quote retweets and says, okay, this is what I'm getting. PvE scrapped, talent trees and long-term progression scrapped, and the only thing we're getting for PvE is archive-style missions every once in a while. Epic. What happened to the last 3.5 years? And if that makes no sense to you, You're like me. You haven't played this game, so let me give you some context. To do that, we teleport back to 2019. A simpler time, a pre-COVID time, and a terrible time to be at Activision because they had a bad year. It started with them separating from one of their best developers, Bungie, which dropped their stock a little bit. Then they had to lay off 775 staff members, despite having an amazing 2018. And then they had all the backlash for firing casters and banning Hearthstone players over their support of Hong Kong, which led to an Overwatch character actually being the symbol of support for Hong Kong. And all that combined made 2019 their worst year in a long time. It was worse than 2018, 2017, and 2016. And companies, they like going up and to the right, and this is not that. So bad year for Activision Blizzard. And at their annual event, BlizzCon, where they get to announce all their fun things, they started out by apologizing for what they did to the casters and the players in Hearthstone for their support of Hong Kong, and then had a fun announcement.
Yes, we are.
Which was them announcing Overwatch 2. Which nobody expected at the time, and even me, someone, again, who had never played the game, I was like, that's cool, maybe I'd play that game. Everyone's hype about this. The video got 20 million views, and everyone was popping off. And they expanded on what Overwatch 2 was supposed to be, because no one really saw it coming, so no one really knew what the goal was of the game. And here's Jeff Kaplan, who is a beloved, or was a beloved Activision Blizzard employee, and lead at Overwatch, talking about it.
Now, when I talk to lots of you, there's a common request that you want out of Overwatch, and Overwatch 2 is going to deliver on this. And that's for more story and for PvE, for cooperative experiences.
Yeah, PvE, player versus environment. You know, the PvP is what everyone knows Overwatch for, but let me get immersed into the world more. That way, when I look up the Overwatch forum at night, it hits a little harder.
Overwatch 2 will feature a ton of PvE content. We will have a complete story experience featuring story missions, the first of which is called Rio de Janeiro, is also playable in Hall A for all of you today.
All good news, all exciting things. But then here's a key promise that Jeff makes about the plans for Overwatch 2 and a new co-op mode.
Cannot wait to hear what you think about it. In addition, as you saw, we have something called hero missions, which hero missions are focused on highly replayable cooperative experience. The analogy we like to use on the team is similar to what adventure mode is to Diablo versus its campaign.
Okay.
That's what hero missions are intended to be. And they're powered by this really cool progression system where you can level up your heroes, get more powerful, customize your abilities.
Makes sense. Basically, they have a new co-op mode with different replayability features, skill trees. Basically, every time you play with your friend, it'll be a new experience. It'll be fun. It'll make you want to play Overwatch more without getting... That's the main promise that he gave at this announcement at the end of 2019. End of 2019. Keep that date in mind. The year passes, 2020. Nothing really announced. 2021 hits. Big announcement. Jeff Kaplan, the guy who was on the stage we just listened to, is leaving Blizzard after 19 years. And this guy, again, is a legend. Super beloved by all of the fans and the players of Overwatch and the guy who's leading the game. And so for him to leave got people a little bit nervous. And there started to be some hints that they might have announced Overwatch 2 too early, that they should have waited a little bit. Not just because fans were getting antsy, because it was hurting Overwatch, the original game, Overwatch 1. They stated that they put too much focus on Overwatch 2 over the past few years to the detriment of support for the original game. So because of that, they changed the release plans for Overwatch 2. Rather than let's have the game all ready to go and then sell it out to you guys, we are going to release it earlier with just the PvP portion, and then that PvP that we were talking about, that's all like the new fun stuff, will come later. So let's just, because Overwatch 1 is kind of dying because you're all waiting for Overwatch 2, hurry along Overwatch 2. And that's exactly what they did. And a little over a year ago, they launched an invitational beta, and then October of last year, they launched the game itself. And the game's launch didn't go so hot. It wasn't the best launch of all time. Now, I don't know if this strategy was necessarily dumb, by the way, before we jump to how bad the game launch was. Overwatch wasn't doing very well after the announcement of Overwatch 2. It was viewership was declining throughout this period. They were averaging less for their kickoff events than XQC averages. Look, 50K in 2022 for the kickoff class. XQC, he's at 62K right now. So I get the concerns internally and why they needed to rush out Overwatch 2, and that's exactly why they did it. But the launch did not go good. And here's Dunkey giving his review of it.
The haters have been calling this game Overwatch 1.5. I gotta say, haters, you guys are stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. This is more like Overwatch 1.1. Immediately.
Yeah, and he goes into why there's so many problems with Overwatch. But you don't gotta just take Dunkey's word for it. You can just go to the Overwatch subreddit and sort by top for the past year, and everybody's upset. Both in terms of what the game offers and how it's monetized now. And they talk about how the subreddit's in damage control mode and how there's just a bunch of illegal things happening in Overwatch and how they don't give you nearly enough skins for your devotion and how the best days are now behind them. And there is still one hope. If you go to any of the threads or any of the comments, there's still one hope that Dunkey kind of puts out here.
But now to finally have Overwatch 2 in my hands, it feels like a major defeat. It feels like Blizzard could be the next BioWare. However, we still haven't played the co-op mode, which for me is the main draw of Overwatch 2. For the sake of the fans, I hope that 99% of the development team has been focused on the co-op, because I don't know what they've been doing for more than 2 years with the PvP.
So PvP overall a bit disappointing. It's very similar to Overwatch 1, although fun to play, and I know many people who do play it, and maybe it's balanced a little bit better. It is not a sequel. It is not Overwatch 2. It is just an update to the original game. And PvE, is the thing that everyone is excited for. And that brings us to today and why their announcement was so bad. So let's take a look again at this tweet with the eyeball and the star emojis. And then take a look again one more time at the skill tree promised, right? This is the hero mode with the skill tree, super huge replayability. Now let's watch it together.
And so we're left with another difficult choice. Do we continue to pour all that effort into PvE, hoping that we can land it at some point in the future? Or do we stick with this set of values we've aligned on and focus on the live game and focus on serving all of you?
Now, this is the executive producer who prefaced this by saying running Overwatch 2 PvP by itself is very difficult and we want to do a good job, but we don't know if we can do a good job and do PvE. And so then he drops his bomb.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. And we know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you, which is why we wanted to bring it up before we talked about the roadmap. And to be perfectly honest, it's been really difficult for many of us and a lot of folks on the team who've poured their heart and soul into that stuff.
Now, I do not envy being a developer, ever. Even in the best of times, you still have people who are just dogging you for more and more and more. But this is just a simple lack of hitting expectations. Expectations were set, and expectations were failed to be met. And that will make people upset, and I think justifiably so. But that's the key spot. All the PvE, all the things that Jeff talked about on stage that we watched together are not happening. And so where the PvP experience was a bit of a disappointment because it didn't feel very different from Overwatch 1, the PvE is not even going to happen anymore. They said they'll have some story-driven things that might occasionally be canon, but it'll be somewhat like seasonal, kind of like they've done in the past, as opposed to the much larger plan that was in place before. And that's where Overwatch is at now, which is sad, you know. And maybe you can think to yourself, oh, well, I'm glad I am Team Valorant or still playing TF2 for some reason because it's really fun. I don't know what you guys play. But I think it's just sad for the people who enjoy this game. Because I know a lot of them personally, even my editor, Shake Drizzle, I think is like a Paper 2 Overwatch player. And he loves playing that shit every night. He'll even do later edits just to play that game a little more. And now he can't have fun co-op with all his friends. Sad. Wish they did a better job over at the Activision Blizzard, but I think this was a lot of internal pressure from higher-ups to deliver on a product and overhype a product to get them out of a tumultuous time, which led to disaster for the game itself. And that's it. That's all you got to know. So that's why everyone's mad at Overwatch. All right, that's it. See you later. Have a good day. Subscribe, everybody, if you want. All right, see you later. Maybe I should play an Overwatch game, right? Let me buy it at the dip. Buy low, sell high. Let me start playing now, and then when it comes back around in a couple years, Jeff comes back. Oh, we're all gonna be partying, or I'll just never play. Or maybe that makes more sense. I don't know. My biggest regret in this life is that I've inspired more people to want to become YouTubers. Because although it can be a fun job where you creatively express yourself, if you're at the top 0.00%, you can make a boatload of money. At its core, we don't offer that much value to society. A lot less than a plumber or a barista, who I would die without. They're the real people who make the world turn, and we're the people who talk about that. And drama. We're also people who like to feign we're amazing, when sometimes we're huge pieces of shit. I think I might have found the biggest piece of shit on YouTube. Not because of the content they make, it's because how they operate in the YouTube space and some of the nefarious things that they might be up to. To get to that, let's get a little context out of the way. There's a tweet from Magnates Media, who's not the person I'm talking about. They are the victim in this situation. They tweeted out a few days ago, a YouTuber called Business Casual, owned by Alex Edson, has filed 3 copyright strikes against my channel, claiming I have used a couple of seconds of similar footage. And the way YouTube works, those 3 strikes mean that YouTube will delete my channel and all other affiliated channels, which is something I have personally gone through. I almost had all of my channels deleted because I had 2 strikes back-to-back from CGP Grey. I reacted to a couple videos on streams, and streams are considered videos from YouTube, so CGP Grey not only took those videos down, but also gave me strikes for them separately, even though the videos were done a year apart. I don't blame CGP Grey for this. I reacted to them. I looked at that shit. I shouldn't have reacted to them. I paid the price for it by almost having my channel get deleted. Learn my lesson. I only react to people who are cool with me reacting to it now. Bing, bang, boom, it's done. But this is a little bit different of a situation, and we'll get to why in just a moment. But first, that name, Business Casual, kind of rung a bell. This might help as well. To recognize this video, there was big drama a little less than a year ago with Business Casual. He was suing YouTube and calling them evil. The skinny of this video, which is 47 minutes long, is that Alex Edson was suing YouTube because they were defending a Kremlin-backed YouTube channel by not deleting their channel, even though they were using Business Casual's assets. That's the skinny. Did it turn out to be true? Kind of not really. YouTube definitely was not defending a Russian or Kremlin-backed YouTube channel. YouTube at the time pulled out of Russia as a whole with all Google products because of the war in Ukraine. They definitely were not in the market of defending one singular YouTube channel while simultaneously pulling out everywhere else, forcing the top 3 most downloaded apps in Russia to be VPNs, so people could still access their email. That's just not what happened at all. And although a lot of people wanted me to cover it after watching the video, I thought, no, it's all kind of weird. Like, this rubbed me the wrong way.
YouTube will almost certainly censor this video. Probably not by taking it down outright, because that would be too obvious, but rather by shadow banning the video, so that it basically does not appear anywhere in the search results or among other videos.
Now, it's fun to root for the little guy against big corporate entity, even YouTube, but that didn't happen here at all. The video is 2.1, almost 2.2 million views on a channel with half the subscriber base. It was clearly not suppressed, and I know that because it was recommended to me. That's how I watched the video in the first place. It pops up when you search for it too. There's no shadow banning here at all. It was just a bunch of rallying of the troops for a fake enemy, in this case YouTube, who's supposed to be the big evil model. And Alex Edson, after looking into him at the time, was also not the most savory person. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds of it. You can search this up yourself. But he started his career on YouTube by actually creating an MCN. We all know now that MCNs are true evil, and his was no exception to that. His MCN that he made at 16 had super predatory deals that he was trying to push on creators, including this one, where 25-75 splits were trying to be signed into deals. This means 25% of all the revenue of the channel goes to the creator, and 75% goes to Alex Edson until he gets the money back for setting it all up. And then it's 70-30, plus he owns 10% of the channel. That's insane. Those are insane deals. You can look more of that up, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about is the new shit that Alex has been up to, which is sending out copyright strikes at such a high level that it is risking a channel being shut down in the first place. We are going to read the claims by Alex right now. This is directly from Magnate Media. This is what he received in an email from Alex, and I'll just read it out verbatim. Your videos constituted wholesale copying of my copyrighted work. You did not transform my content in any way whatsoever. You took my copyrighted script, put it into ChatGPT or some AI software, and made slight tweaks. With respect to your infringing videos, business casual's copyright protected 3D visuals are not just the dominant thing shown on screen, they're the only thing shown on screen. He then goes to talk about that 2-hour video he made, how he won his lawsuit and actually got the channels owned by the Kremlin shut down, and so you shouldn't fuck with me because I have been successful before. Anyway, I've looked through some other videos. I see more of my stuff in there. Your stuff is not fair use. You should watch yourself and apologize to me because I have won in federal court before. That is the gist of his message. And the reply was, oh, I do apologize. What happened after that? That's when he sent the 2 more strikes. That's when he decided to send all 3 strikes. He apologized, still all 3 strikes were sent. So anyway, let's get to the actual claims. The first claim was you use AI-generated software to change my script, add tweaks to it, as opposed to making your own scripts. This has been proven false because the owner of Magnate Media, John, has his entire logs of him changing the scripts. Just because Google updates all that shit right here. He's been changing it, and the scripts are pages and pages and pages long. It's not exactly fair to say that he tweaked it because we're talking about Business Casual, who made a 13-minute video, and Magnates Media made a 53-minute video. AI did not just had 40 minutes. That was the guy doing research, coming up with the videos. But let's actually look at the infringing materials. Be a judge for yourself. These are the 3 separate claims, and I've pulled up all the clips so you can watch them side by side to be the judge of whether or not this counts as copyright infringement. Bear in mind, these are 18, 20, 30-minute long videos on both channels, and there's a couple of seconds total for each video. There's no more infringing materials than what I will show. Here's the first
But
clip.
as it turns out, all that hyper-growth was masking an insidious problem, which...
All right, keep that in your mind. Second clip. This is from Magnates Media.
The original founders focused on the wrong things.
Okay, you know what? They did change to black and white at the same time. It was 2 seconds, but all right. Second clip.
Lots of capital was injected back into the economy.
Okay, here's the clip from Business Casual.
Although the senators were unable to find Morgan guilty of any illegal wrongdoings, the Crucial Committee eventually paved the way for the establishment.
Okay, that's it. It doesn't seem as solid. It just feels like they just used the same picture. Now, it's worth noting at this point that a lot of Business Casual's videos use a technique called parallax, where you take a 2D photo and you separate layers within the photo to add depth to it, to maybe add movement to it, and you can watch it
but his tireless ambition
throughout the entirety of every single one of the videos. So the claim is not just outright using the picture, because let's be honest, none of the people who are making these videos own these pictures. They were taken before anyone who was making these videos were alive. It's actually the parallax technique that's being used. They're claiming that they are not making their own parallax edits, that they're just stealing Business Casuals. That is the claim. And here's the final one, and this one is, I would argue, the dumbest of all. This is the 2 videos side by side. On the left is Business Casual, on the right is Magnates Media. And this is from Upper Echelon. That's it. Which is not the same video. I mean, it's the same picture at its core, but if you look at the cloud plumes, they're not the same. You can just see it outright. The cloud plumes here are a lot different. They're going way taller. This one's going outright, like there's a huge wind. There's a lot of cloud plumes on these 3 stacks. There's none over here on these 3 stacks. There's explosions added here. There's almost no similarity. And you know why there's no similarity? Is because the editor of Magnates Media did all the work themselves. They even provided their timeline in Adobe After Effects to prove that they edited and added in all these effects using that parallax technique themselves, as opposed to ripping it from Business Casual's video. So for that to be the grounds to not only deliver 3 strikes, but to also terminate the channel, to me, feels ridiculous. Not to mention that all of the photos they used are copyright-free photos. And here is a link to all the other people who are also using these photos. not exclusive to business casual. It's not like they got exclusive rights to it. It's Washington, or the Wall Street Journal who's also using it. It's .gov websites using it. It's people on Twitter using it. It's a lot of other people because copyright-free photos. A lot of people use copyright-free shit. Now here's the thing that pissed me off. Here's the thing that I think is the most damning of all. Alex Edson is not the creator of business casual. He's not a YouTuber. He does not know how to make a successful YouTube video with that style and narration. The person who made all those videos is actually Jordan Kuzmanov, whose name I'm surely butchering. And Jordan sold his channel, Business Casual, where he was the founder on LinkedIn, to Alex Edson. Alex Edson purchased the channel, and then after purchasing it, decided to go around and start sending out strikes. Because although he is not a good YouTuber, he has been in the past a successful litigator by getting that Russian channel taken down. And I think he wants to do the same thing here by getting Magnates Media to get their channel taken down. And you might even recognize Jordan because he is also the owner and current operator of this channel, SideQuest.
Did have one thing in common.
Which is like a funny little British guy who tells you history things with a funny accent. Now, there's a few creators who have talked about this video, like Charlie and Upper Echelon, whose video I'll definitely like. Upper Echelon was super in-depth with his coverage. But the one thing that's been kind of bad is although a lot of YouTubers have been covering it, nothing has changed. Here's the update on Business Casual. Alex Edson deleting my channel. In my YouTube studio now, it says your channel will be terminated soon along with any associated channels unless you're able to resolve your strikes. And the issue is the strikes have not been able to be resolved because Alex Edson has not replied to any requests to remove said strikes. None of the pressure has made Alex Edson buckle because I think the dude yearns for lawsuits like children yearn for the mines. During this period, strikes will not expire. You will not be able to upload new videos. Your account termination is on hold awaiting final review of counter notification. Basically, because I've countered saying, hey, these strikes aren't fair, Alex Edson now has 10 business days to sue him. If he doesn't, that means the channel lives, that this will all be fine. But if he does, this guy does have a history of lawsuits, well, then they go to court. They have to deal with an entire boatload of lawyers and fees and all that shit based off of what was 5 to 7 seconds of content of copyright-free images that the editors just happened to use somewhat similar stuff, but very clearly not the same, at least when it came to that last clip that I showed you. All I do know is that if Alex had a problem with the first few seconds, or a few seconds of my video, he could have contacted me and I'd have him removed. I've tried reaching out to him several times to try to resolve it, but no answer. The fact that he made 3 strikes and is unwilling to talk suggests he wants my channel terminated, which is a good point, because you can submit 3 claims under 1 strike. It is very intentional to submit 3 strikes with 3 different claims. You can group them together to be less punishing. The goal here is to be as punishing as possible. If Alex simply drops the strikes now, all of this will be resolved. So if anyone knows Alex, please you could tell him that, hey, maybe don't be such an asshole. You can work out whatever the problem is. There's no need to delete someone's entire channel over a few seconds of footage or a few sentences in a script. I just want to move on from all this and continue creating content. And here he tags Alex and he says, I've mentioned this already, but if we ever cover a similar topic again, I'm more than happy to send you my script plus sources and an editor's raw files before I put them live. Which is like, he's being so charitable. He's being like too nice and too charitable to a guy who just bought a channel and then used the assets that were created on the channel before he bought it to then start striking people who are using stuff that is similar but not the same and not stolen. He goes on to thank the people who have been covering this, which hopefully me covering this maybe creates a little more stake, maybe helps in some way, shape, or form, or maybe doesn't. I don't know, man. It feels like I'm just talking about shit without actually making any change in the universe because I'm not cool like a plumber barista. I don't actually add any fucking value. I just talk about drama and make money. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Help out my man Magnates Media. You too. Help this guy. Please. He should not have his channel taken. Business Casual, guy, seems like a huge piece of shit, allegedly. I don't know. Whatever else it is. Alright, goodbye. You've probably heard this Robert Evans quote before. There are 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. Hashtag I'm 12 and this is deep. But the quote is very applicable to life, but also to business, because people perceive what happens to them very differently, and also the reason people tell their sides of the story are for very different objectives. And because the internet's super reactionary, people often believe the first story told, even if it's not the right story. I am not someone who is unique to falling for this problem. I am sometimes way too reactionary, and when I try to wait, I still fail. Like with the Bayonetta voice actor story I talked about a few weeks ago, where she said she was offered $4,000 to return to her role as Bayonetta. That was a lie. She was offered $15,000, which you could argue is still not enough, but that doesn't matter. When you lie about the facts originally, it's a lot harder to be on your side. And today we are talking about another story where 3 years ago, the first side of the story that came out was believed, and only this past week are we finding out the other side of the story, and perhaps the truth. Of course, I'm talking about Mick Gordon, the composer for Doom Eternal. If you don't know Doom Eternal, one of the greatest games that's come out in the past decade, and probably one of the greatest franchises ever in video gaming history. It got super high ratings, and Mick Gordon, the composer for it, was nominated for awards and won awards for Best Soundtrack. You've probably heard the soundtrack, even if you've never played Doom Eternal, because you probably browse TikTok. And then there's like the high-pitched voice, and it goes, oh yeah, anyway, that's Mick. Mick makes good music. You've probably heard Mick's music, and he worked with a company called id Software. Let's do a little bit of background on them. They are a game company who create games like Doom and Quake and Rage. A lot of the classics, a lot of the hits. And they are owned by ZeniMax Media, which is owned by Xbox Game Studios, and they also ZeniMax Media owns Bethesda. So a lot of parents in this company, a lot of subsidiaries, but all you need to know is id Software makes Doom, makes Quake, and they also work with Mick Gordon on almost all of these titles. And when Doom Eternal came out, they also released a soundtrack for the game alongside with it. It makes a lot of sense. It's a popular game. It's cool. Let's release the full OST. But when the OST came out, there was initial concern with the low quality. Posted on Twitter 2 days after the actual OST came out on April 16th, and it shows a side-by-side comparison between two soundtracks, one with a lot of depth in the waveforms, and another one that's very flat. Usually when it's flat, it means it cuts off a lot of the depth of the music, and just removes it, because it's peaking. It's like how it happened. A huge thread about how this is bad, and Mick Gordon is a talented audio engineer. How the hell does he not know how to do this? To which Mick replies, hey, I didn't mix those and wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the tracks that I mixed because they sound good. That creates a little bit of controversy because the lead at id Software, the lead of Doom Eternal, aka Marty, was like, well, I have to address it. And so 2 weeks later, made a giant Reddit post on r/Doom, an open letter that talked about why the OST is a bit lower quality. It goes into how Mick was assigned to do the OST, but ended up only being able to mix around 12 of the tracks, and how he had to hire another audio engineer named Chad to do the other 47 tracks. And we asked Mick time and time again to deliver on his deliverables in like a nice time frame, but Mick failed us. We tried to reach out, and he struggled to reach it back to us in a timely manner. We tried to give him as much time and money as possible, but he just wasn't doing it. And eventually, we had to release it because we owed it to the people who paid for the soundtrack. And this whole post was met with a lot of admiration. A lot of people saying, hey man, disheartening but understandable. We love Mick, we love you guys. It's a bummer it didn't work out. Maybe work with these musicians in the future. Other posts that said, hey, it's a bummer that you guys aren't going to work together again, because that was in the post. I really like the music, but I understand Mick kind of dropped the ball. And that was the sentiment, is that Mick dropped the ball. Don't take my word for it, though. Take Link Stan's word, who said, I would have gone silent after shoving my foot as far into my throat as you did here, dude. You done fucked up. Good luck getting work in the future, bro. So clearly some people were mad at Mick for failing to deliver on the OST. 3 years passed since that point, with almost everybody leaving, with a consensus that, well, Mick's silence is an admittance of truth, and he did not do a good job on delivering, even if he is a talented composer. Until this past week, where Mick released his own insanely deep and long Medium posts. But before we jump into the Medium article, I have to tell you about today's sponsor, me, in my chess boxing event that's happening December 11th in sunny Los Angeles, California. You can buy tickets to see this event live right now, or maybe you just want to watch it online, but either way, do not miss out. It features 20 of the biggest creators in the world, all literally punching each other in the face and then playing chess until they knock each other out or win by checkmate. And big news! For the first time ever, this event will have multi-language support. So not only will it be broadcast on my channel in English, it'll also be broadcast in French and Spanish. I've worked really hard with the YouTube team to make this happen, so don't miss out. It'll be broadcast on youtube.com/@Ludwig. And if you're in the area, or perhaps you just want to go to a cool event, then check out the tickets right here. Come see me live. Come have fun and hang out. It'll be cool, and it's not run by Ticketmaster, so I guarantee it'll work. All right, back to the video. This is a 58-minute read, and it talks all about the inconsistencies, his side of the story, and it has a lot of receipts, so I would argue some of the truths of what actually happened all those years ago. And I'm gonna do you a favor and just recap it. We'll just do a little recap. But I would recommend, honestly, taking a listen on your own. I listened to this on I had like an hour car ride because I live in Los Angeles and that shit sucks. And my jaw dropped like 7 different times. But I'll give you the spark. I'll give you the spark. And I will echo mixed sentiments here, which said the statement is not an excuse for a hate campaign. Acts of hate dish out online won't result in any positive change. Now, I say this a lot when I make posts about people, and it's something that I genuinely mean. It never fucking works. I found it never works to say, hey, please don't hate on this person. And then when you show them to be a bad person, people just want to hate on them. But it is important to take it seriously, because Mick talked about how when that original Reddit post came out that showed him in bad light, showed him that somebody dropped the ball on a project, he got so much hate that it made life almost unbearable. It can be really crazy, so just hold on and just hate in confidence. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's talk about what actually happened. And like I said earlier, this is a lengthy post, so I'm gonna glaze over a few of the big points that I took away after reading it, but you might want to read it yourself to take away some other points. So let's jump in. Doom Eternal was a difficult project. And in this, Mick talks about how he was reached out to very early in the project, like 20 to 24 months before Doom Eternal was ever meant to release. And the entire contract was, hey, give us 2 songs a month that match up with some level, and then by the end of the month, we'll have our full 48, 50-song soundtrack. That is the goal. And the music of Doom, if you don't know, has to match very closely to the level design. So if it's like a platforming part, if it's like a we are blowing up people's faces part, the music has to match that feeling. And unless there's some gameplay to go by, or at least some storyboard, it's not possible to create the music. So Mick was like, hey, can I get something? Can I get something? Can I get something? Can I get something? And you would get kind of dono wall, because they just didn't have the things ready. So what do you do in that spot? Well, you're not going to not deliver on the contract. Mick kind of made things up as he imagined the game would be that wasn't created. And as you can imagine, when they started to make the game, they were like, oh, this song that you imagined up doesn't really match up to what we imagined up. We can't use it with Mick's on. And that's very important to note at this point, that music contracts are based off of minutes owed. So for example, you might owe about like 120 minutes. And the music was like divvied up into different sections. So maybe you owe us like 2 minutes of like this space theme and 1 minute of this blowing up people theme, and then 30 seconds of this platforming part. But they can divvy it up how they see fit. And so Mick, because he was making up a lot of what he needed because they weren't giving him the assets, over the course of months, was creating a lot of things, but wasn't getting paid for the minutes of it because they didn't have the assets ready. But he was still working. In fact, he worked for 8 months straight without getting paid once. Eventually, he's like, hey, I need to get paid. And they're like, all right, fine, we'll pay you. And then after paying him the first time, they didn't pay him again for another 11 months. 11 months. Now, he goes in depth on how he actually needed the money, and it became very hard to work, and he was pulling like all-nighters, sleeping under his desk, and just really wanted the cash for all the work that he was putting in for the game. Eventually they cracked, but they called him difficult to work with along the way. You don't pay someone for 11 months and you call him difficult to work for? That's a little bold. That's a little bit bold. Anyway, it continues on, and he talks about how he was was able to eventually get a lot of the soundtrack done, in part because they delayed the game from being released in November to the game being released, I think, like in March. And while the game was being developed, in the middle of it, there was a show, I think at like and Marty at the show, Marty Stratton, he announced that Doom will release with an official soundtrack alongside it. So you can buy a deluxe edition that not only has the game, but it has an official soundtrack with all the sounds fully mastered from the game that you know and will probably end up loving. The only problem, Mick Gordon did not know about this. The guy who was literally making the music for the game did not know that they were going to be making a soundtrack and that he would have to provide the songs for said soundtrack. They announced that in like November, and that's when he found out about it. He did not get a contract to even do that part of the work until January. Now, if you are a layman like me, you might be thinking to yourself, well, can't you just pull the sounds from the game and just throw them in a soundtrack all in a day? Not really. It doesn't really work like that. Like the way you have to master it, or like, you know, headphones you just listen to music is a little different than if it's in the game mastered with other audio. And it's a totally different project. This is from Mixed Mouth, which I believe, because he's an expert on the subject, and I made one song with Porter Robinson. He doesn't even have a contract to do that part of the job. He's still not even done making the actual songs for the game at the point when they announce the soundtrack. So he says, hey, can we get a contract? Can we get a contract? Can we get a contract? He gets Donewald for 3 months. It's not until he emails somebody at Bethesda, a somewhat unrelated group on the project, and says, hey, Happy New Year. It's been 2-3 months now. Can I get a contract to do this? And very quickly, they get a contract going for him. And he is supposed to provide 12 songs for the official soundtrack that is going to release alongside the game. And then they're supposed to tell him which songs, but they don't, so he just picks 12 songs that are good and goes about making those songs. Now, they did tell him that the timeline to release the OST was very flexible. They came upon the date of April 16th, and they said that date could be pushed back if necessary if you needed more time to work on it, right? So he's like, all right, very cool, that feels good. And so he's working. And as he gets closer to the April 16th date, he's like, oh, maybe I need an extra day. And then Marty Stratton's like, no, because they fucked up. They fucked up really bad. Now, there are consumer laws that I think are a little more protective in Europe than America, but they basically protect you. If you buy something, you are supposed to receive said thing. So when they announced that they were releasing a deluxe edition with the soundtrack and you could pay a deluxe amount of money for said thing, that product didn't exist yet. But that product needs to exist at some time that's reasonable within people paying for it, right? Because they're receiving the money for the thing that doesn't exist and there's no plan to make. As a consumer, you have rights. Shocking, but it's true. And so they had to legally have this soundtrack out by April 20th, or they would probably have to return the money to every single consumer or get sued into oblivion. So that whole we can extend it, not really true. And this is just a little added insult to injury, and these are some of the tidbits that I'm leaving out that are so worth reading. 5 hours before he was supposed to deliver the soundtrack, Marty hits him up and he says, hey, I don't like the songs you picked to remaster. Can you pick new ones? 5 hours before. He had 4 months to say that. He did it 5 hours before. Holy shit. Finally, he's like, no, that's impossible. Marty's like, all right, fine. They release the soundtrack. But unbeknownst to me, they also had another audio engineer during this entire time working on the other 40 plus songs in the game that they were going to put in the soundtrack. And the problem was that those songs were super low quality. Now he goes into the specifics here, but you can just see the waveforms and it shows a lot of like cuts. Yeah, I'm not a nerd in the audio sphere, but you can see that it looks a little bit uglier than what maybe a waveform is supposed to look like. These were made by Chad. No hate to Chad. It's not his job to do this, but he was assigned this task. And here's the extra fuck thing in my mind. He was assigned this task the year before Mick even had a contract to work on. So Mick didn't even have the contract to create the OST while he was waiting for that contract, they had another audio engineer working on mixing the sound. And you can see that if you look in the files the same way you would when you look at like raw images and photos. He was working on this 4 months before Mick even knew he was supposed to do it. 2 months before he even knew there was going to be an OST. So clearly internally they were pushing a lot faster than they were with their communications with Mick. And throughout this whole process, the communications between Mick and Marty are terrible. It's a lot of messages and emails sent to Marty with no responses back to Mick, and a lot, I would say, of abusive language from Marty. Anyway, the soundtrack comes out, and pretty quickly fans are like, oh, this is dog shit. I am sad that I paid for this. Mick's like, hey, I didn't make it, and then Marty makes the Reddit post like I showed you earlier, and then things get a little bit weird, because Marty sees that post, and he's like, well, that's a fucking lie. And not only did he see that post, he had talked to Marty literally the day before that post came out on a call about how they were going to make a joint statement to resolve the fans' concerns. Marty went behind his back. He said in the post, I have been manipulated. And then he has a detailed rebuttal to every single point Marty made in the Reddit post. But it's damning, because it has a shit ton of receipts. And then he wanted to resolve it. He sent out basically his requests to him. At this point, lawyers got involved. And his requests were very simple. Remove the Reddit post, pay me for the OST, because they weren't really paying me, and let me redo it so it sounds good. Because he wants, at the end of the day, for the OST to sound good. Because if it doesn't sound good, well, it reflects on him. He is the artist after all. His name is on every song, so if it sounds like shit, he's the one who will be blamed for it. And Marty says no. The only problem Marty had was removing the Reddit post. Even though he knew full well that the Reddit post was full of lies, Marty was against removing the Reddit post because he thought it would make him look bad. Yeah, that's how it fucking works. If you do something bad, it's gonna make you look bad. That's how life works. But sometimes you have to own your mistakes. This is the most mind-blowing fact of all to me. Mick Gordon went around Marty, and he reached out to a Reddit moderator, and he talked about the entire situation, and he said, hey, this Reddit post has affected me deeply, professionally, and personally. Can you remove it? And the moderator did. They took it down. But within 12 hours, that Reddit post was reinstated. The moderator had blocked him on Discord and stopped replying to emails. And a few days later, Marty's lawyers contacted him and said removing the Reddit post had greatly offended Marty, and he was furious in the strongest terms that an amicable resolution would be possible. He was mad that they removed the post that Marty knew was filled with lies because it hurt his reputation. And here's the kicker. Marty knows he's in the wrong, so this is the offer that they gave to him. We will give you $100,000 in exchange for never ever telling the truth and never ever talking about the Reddit post again. Basically, own that you are in the wrong, but take this sum of money and then remake the OST. And that was their offer. And Mick was like, no, I want this, I want this. He basically went through legal hell for the past 3 years, which is why he hasn't really talked about it. Which kind of adds up because Marty, over the past years, has talked about how he's wanted to redo the Doom Eternal OST, but hasn't gotten them to say yes. I mean, this is a tweet from over a year ago. And it ends with no resolution. It ends with Mick just trying to get his side of the story out there. And Marty just trying to silence Mick the entire way and make sure that the truth is not out there, but the story that makes him look the best is. Now, there's a lot of details that I missed along the way here that, again, you can look through. Specific things like the audio engineer who mixed like the other 40 songs to those was credited as an artist on those songs, which is, you know, kind of offensive when you have nothing to do with making them at all. You know, being able to sing, no offense to him. I mean, it's not his job. Well, it is his job. It's not like normally his job. It's not what he's supposed to be doing. Honestly, it's a super fucked situation where Mick for 3 years has been abused by fans who thought he was a piece of shit. He lost out on work, and worst of all, he released work that he's not proud of as an artist that his name has to be attached to, and he has no way to do right by the fans. And it shows time and time again. He tried to do this by civil means because it's been 3 fucking years. Now, this post came out a little over a week ago, and of course, it's gotten a ton of attention, and people are fucking mad at Marty and id Software and